I think the reason we do it is because of fear. Fear of being a body, which is to say, being mortal, but not just that we are mortal and will die, but even more so, each moment that we are vulnerable, not just to nature and to the wild storms and earthquakes and tsunamis and illnesses that can come and beset us unexpectedly, but also vulnerable to one another and to the gaze of another person who looks at me and maybe she thinks that I don't look quite right, or that there's something wrong with the way I look, or she thinks I'm too fat, or maybe he thinks I'm too skinny. I'm vulnerable if I identify with my animal presence, so it's much better to hide out in a set of abstractions and not really be present here with my senses awake. And the last thing to say with that is that today, particularly in the last, 10, 15 years, it's become even harder for people to come into this more full-bodied relationship with the world, because even people of very good heart and will, like all of us in this room, I think there's a deep sense that if I were to really sense and feel the land around me as something that breathes, not that it's alive like me, but that my life is a part of its life, which is very different, much bigger than mine, and much different because it's round and it's spinning in the solar wind. It's a quite other kind of life than anything we've known, and yet we have known it all along. But if I let myself remember it and feel it, I think many of us feel it's going to be too painful, because there are so many losses. There are so many wounds around me. The forests clear-cut, the rivers dammed up, the salmon dwindling, their populations. I don't want to feel that. I prefer to just look at them as numbers, because if I feel them as living, intelligent aspects of this huge, sentient life that I'm a part of, it will hurt to feel all the losses. And I don't want to feel it. And so, in response to that, I need to say, and I say this also from the depth of my heart, that it seems to me today, with so many onrushing catastrophes on every hand, both within the human world and within the more than human world, all of these losses cascading through the biosphere as a result of the rapid change in the climate, that we humans deeply need to find our way back inside the biosphere. But in order to do that, it's just, we have to step through a threshold of grief, of actually coming into our senses, waking up our animal senses. And when we first do that, it's like, whew, there are a lot of losses. There has been a great deal that has been destroyed or broken. And we need to allow ourselves to feel that. If we do, and we let the tears flow, it seems to me the soil needs that water. It needs to feel us and our tears, feeling it. And as soon as it does, it's like a key that unlocks a door that opens onto a world of wonders. a world filled with exquisite sensations and delights and joys and sadnesses. It's a deeply shadowed world where suffering plays an important part. But it is also filled with so much joy, so much pleasure of finally being held and sustained by relationships with every part of our world. And hence feeling them and being felt by them. We need this. And as long as we don't let ourselves grieve the losses, then we don't feel any of that joy. And we don't get any of that nourishment. And our organism just ossifies. And the biosphere goes down. It just is going down without it. So, sort of a long answer to your question.
I like the phrase. It makes a lot of sense.
It does make sense. Great. Great.